Sorry, just am I hearing audio from the room yet?
So do we have anybody else on virtually online on the screen apart from Ross?
I do not see anyone else, Mr. Vice Chair.
Okay. At the moment, you have 7 members of the committee sitting around the table.
And it looks like we have 2 more coming in.
Okay.
Excellent. All right.
So under the new law, the new rules, it's
We have 8 members of the committee.
Let's see.
Just showed up. All right.
So that's Rohnert Park.
And June.
June.
Okay. So
So
now we have 9. Are we
So
good?
we actually are under the new rules in terms of representing the jurisdictions. Looks like we have Healdsburg, Petaluma, Rohnert Park.
You got it.
All right.
Yeah, Sebastopol, etc. So that is a quorum by the
Okay.
rules. And I apologize for not being there in person today.
And it is 11:31, and so we can open the meeting of the Climate Action Advisory Committee. The chair is not able to attend today, so as the vice chair, I'm taking over these duties, and we start off with introductions. I'm Jake McKenzie from Rohnert Park, and Zeno.
Pete Gang, Petaluma.
Steve Keith, Rohnert Park.
Emily Virgil, Healdsburg.
Tyler Sylvie, District 3 Supervisor.
Andy Schrader, Petaluma.
Nick Thayer, District 5.
And
Shirley Johnson, Rohnert Park.
okay, I believe that from what I understand, there's no one online who's a member of this committee. Is that correct?
Correct.
And we have 2 more committee members to introduce themselves.
Ryan Martin Dent from Katati.
Okay, well, we're all assembled here. So that's item number 1. Tanya Narath, would you like to have staff members introduce themselves so we all know who's here?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tanya Narath with the Sonoma County Transportation and Climate Authorities.
Hello. This is BC CAPS, SCTCA.
Good morning, everyone. Anna Oliva, SCTCA.
Okay, thank you very much. We now come to agenda item number 2, public comment for items that are not on the agenda. Does any member of the public wish to address the committee at this time on such an item? Please, if you would come forward. I'm not sure, where's the public supposed to speak from?
Thank you.
Right there.
I need a microphone, but thank you. My name's Alan Nauman. I'm here of the Climate Action Committee of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation, and I'm doing research for a presentation in February. So I want to let you know if you have local Sonoma County statistics on solar adoption rates and green building adoption rates and things like that. I was going to be looking at it for a month, seriously. And so I just want to introduce myself. If you have any of those datas local here in Sonoma County, I'd love to chat. Thank you.
Tanya, who would be the appropriate person for the Unitarian Universalists to address?
I think BC would be a great. Yeah.
Business card.
So there's BC and you've been introduced, so we'll let that event proceed. And if there's something that we should be aware of in the way of an event, it would be good to let us all know. And that would be out of Petaluma, would that be correct?
No, this is Santa Rosa.
Oh, Santa Rosa.
It's February 22nd.
Okay. Well, if we could get a formal notice out to the committee, I would appreciate that. Thank you very much. Agenda item number 3 we come to, and that is 3.1 approval of meeting notes from July 11th and November 15th. So I would entertain a motion to approve those meeting notes.
I do so move.
And is there a second?
Second.
There we go. And please introduce yourself.
David Leland.
Thank you. We now have almost a full complement. Very good. Anyway, we have a motion on the floor which has been seconded. We're all present here in the room. So do we need to do a roll call vote?
I just have a question real quick.
Sorry.
Some people may not hear relevant to me. So I
Yeah,
can't really phone on the one.
That's what I was wondering.
If you've read the minutes, you can in fact vote in favor of the notes, even although you were not in attendance. I believe I'm correct in saying that. But if you feel uncomfortable, that's fine too. You can abstain. Anyway, all those in favor.
Before we do, could I do a propose an amendment to the minutes? Just that I was at the November meeting and I'm not in attendance. Had a hard time to get here right at 11:30. I came in within the first 10 to 15 minutes. So if I could just be listed as attending in November, and then in both the July and November minutes, then it would show that I was attended in also the May meeting where it's not on the chart. So it does list in the notes that I was there, but the chart hasn't been updated. So just to get those corrections, and then with that, I would vote to approve the minutes.
Maker of the motion and the seconder, do you have any objection to that friendly amendment? Evidently not. So those changes can be included.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion on the floor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? None.
Jake, could I just have her state her name to make sure we get
Oh.
the,
Yeah, that was Jimber Shares.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's 3-1 taken care of.
Abstained.
Oh, okay. One abstention.
Vote?
Did we separate them?
No, we didn't. Sorry.
Okay, that we'll move on to administrative item 3.2, membership filling vacancies update. Do we have an update, please?
Yes, Mr. Vice Chair, we do have, I will be providing a brief verbal update. So I'm in the process of reaching out to confirm membership with the jurisdictions, mainly in the interest of filling vacant seats. But I will also say, there are some vacancies, and if you do know anyone that you think would be a good CAAC member, and they're not involved with the committee, we do invite you to have them fill out the form on the RCPA website. It is still the RCPA website. Even if they are not in the jurisdiction that has a vacancy, we can make a connection and sometimes get folks set up to fill those. So I invite folks to do that. The other thing that affects membership, I just a brief preview, but the upcoming legislation, SB 707, and the updates to AB 2449 related to Brown Act meetings are going to be, will affect this committee. We're going to be getting some feedback from our board, hopefully in February, about our options related to advisory committees. And this may allow for significantly more attendance options. We will be in touch with more information, but there will not be major changes until March at the earliest. But this will be a very good thing for our committees. And I think, we're always fighting for attendance, and I think this will help a lot. So I'm really hoping for both CAAC and CAC. This is going to add a lot more options to the table. We've started talking to legal about it. We'll get feedback from the board, but I'll be coming. No changes quite yet, but I'll be coming back to you soon with more information about potentially more ways to attend.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And if I'm looking at the roster in front of me, there's a vacancy in Cloverdale, is that correct?
That's correct. I mean, that's essentially 2 vacancies.
And a vacancy in Sonoma, is that correct?
Yeah, everything that's on the list that's attached to the current.
And then Supervisor Rabbit in District 2 has a vacancy.
Yeah, and there's also some folks that I have not been able to attend for a while that I'd like to get an official mention that they're not able to, but I know that once we do some more investigation, I know there's some other folks that aren't able to. So we'd love to fill those.
Well, we'll look forward to getting the information on the Brown Act changes, and we'll look forward to welcoming new members as they are appointed.
Thank you.
Zeno?
Yeah, I'm wondering whether we are appointed for a certain period of time, or is that left to jurisdiction, or is it open-ended? Or...
So technically it's a 2-year cycle. And so we check in with the jurisdictions. Occasionally they will change. Usually that's not the case unless someone has worked that out, but it is in theory a 2-year term.
But none of us who are sitting here this morning have to go back to our supervisors or city councils and request reappointment?
No, that's on me, and it's been delayed slightly. So that's I'm catching up on that.
So we can all relax, and then
today.
Presumably, if you don't want to continue your service in this committee, you should let them know. But otherwise, it sounds like we will continue to meet together and work together, and look forward to that.
Yep.
Okay. Report out from, this is agenda item number 4 now, report out from CAAC members by jurisdiction, an opportunity for each committee member to share activities within their jurisdiction. And David, I'll go around the room this way.
And I will pass today and just give it over to Nick.
Nothing to report from the 5th district, general countywide thing though. I just learned this week that the county has begun the process of applying for a regional habitat conservation plan under the federal and California Endangered Species Acts. Basically meaning that instead of determining endangered species habitats and mitigation activities on a project by project basis, the idea would be that the entire county would apply for one permit to streamline the permitting process and, in theory, to make mitigation and conservation and habitat connectivity efforts more effective, in theory.
Who would be responsible for that in county government?
It's mostly Permit Sonoma that's
Okay.
doing that process. They're just at the earliest stages of it right now, but they're gonna have a lot of public outreach about the process.
Thank you for that report. Continuing around the table.
Yes, so also District 5, Supervisor Hopkins has been putting out an announcement about the meeting coming up Thursday, January 22nd at the Sonoma County Coast Municipal Advisory Council, and that's going to be happening at the Bodega Bay Grange Hall. Thursday, the 22nd at 5:30, and it's all around the Save My Coast Coalition. So this is in response to the federal government's attempts to reopen up offshore drilling and deep sea mining. And this is a growing coalition of local governments have come together to fight back against that. Sonoma County Board of Supervisors is part of this. And it's being headed up by Richard Charter, and that'll be the presentation happening on Thursday. So if people don't want to find out about what's going on with that, that'll be at the Bodega Bay Grange Hall.
You can also go to savemycoast.org.
Thank you, both of you. Please.
Okay, I'd like to send out kudos to the Cotati Rohnert Park Unified School District. They have just put in place some solar for panels that will be put up in parking lots in our district. Unfortunately, we couldn't buy them because a lot of the suppliers were backing out since the feds have decided not to have any rebates and so on. But we are going to, where you do the leasing and stuff like that. So we decided it's better than nothing, it's good for the environment. And it does save us a little bit of on our electricity costs.
And that's also happening with the city of Rohnert Park and the parking lot beside the Callanan Sports and Fitness Center. And these panels are already up, and then there's also going to be panels put up at public safety parking lot.
Oh, I missed that.
So
Thank
that's
you.
in process as we speak. Anyway, thanks for that report. Andy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Petaluma is proud to announce that the Trump administration is suing it for building electrification for its building electrification ordinance, and we're quite proud of that distinction, and we'll do our best to maximize it. Number two, the regional messaging initiative that we talked about, I think a year ago today, we're going to be piloting in Petaluma. We've got a working group working on it, and stay tuned.
Thank you. Tyler?
Yes, I didn't get a chance to attend remotely or otherwise the city council meeting on Wednesday. I'm coaching my 7-year-old's girls soccer team, Go Panthers. Blueberries was on the table. That would have been a cuter name, but I was disappointed, and please somebody tell me if I'm off base here, but the way I read it is they had a study session on gas station land use regulations with the idea of rolling back some previously in place regulations that they had adopted as a result of our and the regional climate board's resolutions and things like that. I need to rewatch it. I don't know if anybody else has an update, but I don't know if that's something we would consider, doing a resolution on, or if just to announce local people ought to get involved and contact their council person.
Since you brought up that question, does anybody present, either members of the committee or staff, have any exact information on what Tyler just brought up?
Yeah, I do. I've watched the meeting. Yeah, it appears that Costco would like to change their fueling station along Santa Rosa Avenue. And so they're wanting to get a new site, and that would be in violation of the ordinance. So that's really where the push is coming from, is an expansion to a new site. They call it just relocating, but it would create a new brownfield. So although it would be maybe a similar GHG situation, it would create a new brownfield, and it's creating a push to open up the whole thing and undermine the gas station ordinance that was just to not accept any more permits like this. So we're going to be wasting a lot of city time if they reopen this up on looking at applications that maybe will end up getting defeated, but
And I thought that the city had declared a climate emergency. I could be wrong, but
Well, if it would be possible for at our March meeting to have this as an agenda item so we can get a formal report on what action occurs or didn't occur. And then it would, I think, be appropriate for this committee to consider a course of action.
yeah, I just want to add, there is a concern when you looked at the staff presentation, like they looked at other jurisdictions nearby that had gas station ordinances like this. And they showed all these other cities in the region that didn't have them. And they didn't put any cities in Napa County or Marin County that did. So it's like the way it's being presented from staff is not very complete. So it's of concern. It really needs some oversight about what sort of information is getting presented.
Thank you. Thank you both.
and that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Continuing around the table.
Thanks for sharing your mic, Tyler. The Climate Ready Katati Fair is going to be happening in March 28th at 10 o'clock.
Nothing to report from Healdsburg, sorry.
Shirley and Jake covered it.
I have Pete Gang Petaluma. I have three things that I wanted to just bring up very briefly. One, as a follow-up to an item from a previous meeting, there was some discussion about closer collaboration between this body and a transportation body on the transportation side. And I am interested in learning more about how that could take shape. The other one was I just wanted to give voice to something that I've been feeling on a daily basis, which is we all understand that we keep a firewall between our day-to-day affairs and politics. We don't talk about politics. These days, there is just a long, sad list of policies that are coming at us from the federal government that directly affect our work here in Sonoma County on addressing the climate crisis. And I just want us to feel a little bit more open to discuss policies without talking about while still maintaining some kind of a barrier, a firewall between policies and politics, because I'm just feeling such strong headwinds that we are trying to push against with our climate efforts here in Sonoma County.
Appreciate that. And I might just ask staff, does this question come up with the committee, I don't know what it's called anymore, SCTA? The SCTCA board, have they had discussions about what EPA administrator has said and related items from a federal perspective?
Yeah, I can't say that that's been a specific topic. I mean, we have a legislative update for the board every month. And so we give both federal and state legislative updates, primarily around the bills that we're tracking and the issues that we're tracking. And we have submitted letters of not support necessarily, but letters that are in opposition to some of the policies. So we are engaged, we being our board, in those policies that impact us. Yeah, and I'd be happy to.
It would be useful, I think, for this committee, if there are such letters for all of us to see those and possibly address some of your concerns. I'm not sure in terms of the charge to our advisory committee whether we would want to duplicate something that the board has done or not. But I think if we were informed as to what the board has actually been doing, then it would maybe give us some direction as to how to proceed.
And I would just add to that, if there are specific policies or legislation that the committee is especially concerned about, that would be appropriate to raise. And that could be part of maybe our next meeting where we can give an update on what we're tracking. And
we can provide an update. And maybe that's the way to go for our March meeting, is to have an update, a legislative update to this committee. And then we could determine whether any action was appropriate or not. And I don't have any problem whatsoever in terms of the politics of this and private life. Frankly, all of our lives are impacted by the national situation. And it seems to me it's within the remit of this committee, if they involve climate activities, that we would have an opportunity to discuss them, comment on them, and if necessary, take the action that an advisory committee can take, which is to give advice.
Thank you.
Is that a satisfactory answer?
Yes, it is. And for me, the next step is after being aware of all the specific actions that are taking place at the federal level, is knowing what I or we can do in response.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for bringing that up. Christopher?
You had 3.
I forget. Thank you.
Enough.
I don't have anything right now.
Thank you. Dino?
Yeah, so Sebastopol has a climate action committee of the city of Sebastopol, and it met earlier this week. Steve Pierce, who often attends here, is the chair of that committee. And it would be good if he becomes a member of this committee instead of Yoshko, who has not been able to participate much. So I don't know, rather than approaching Yoshko, it's probably more effective to talk Pierce directly. The committee met, as I said, on Tuesday and adopted a work plan for the year. It's heavily focused on efforts to promote electrification, transportation and building. And also it had a small item, as I remember, about garden equipment like blowers and mowers. And the state has outlawed so you cannot buy them in the store anymore, but anecdotal evidence is that people buy them out in Oregon. Maybe especially businesses that feel they cannot, like gardening businesses. So anybody knows something about this? How would you approach a problem like that, where you have equipment that the state regulates and people get around it by importing from elsewhere? Thank you.
Thank you. My comment at the moment is that I believe on February the 5th, the Roanoke Park City Council and Roanoke Park Planning Commission will have a joint meeting to discuss the general plan update. The general plan of Roanoke Park is dated the year 2000. So theoretically, there will be an updated 2026 general plan later on this year. The reason I bring it up is that now there will be a climate element, or now there is a climate element in the draft plan. And so I'm planning to attend that meeting and commenting. And it may be, Steve, that you will be there and making a comment. I don't know, but to me, that's a very important meeting. This is been a much delayed updating of the general plan. Supposed to be updated every 20 years, and now it's 26 years. So, but it will have climate implications. We tried to do something back 2009, 2010. Politically, that was not popular at that time, strangely enough. Anyway, that's my comment on that.
Jake,
Yes.
if I could. I've got a meeting with the Sonoma Marin Water Saving Partnership on Tuesday. As part of Marin Water, we meet roughly quarterly or every other month. And they do qualified water efficient landscaper trainings.
Right.
And I think I could ask, what are the goals going forward for building in like maybe resiliency related topics, like do we need leaf blowers, do we need gas powered, etc. I think it would dovetail nicely with the rest of the lesson plans.
Okay, thank you very much.
Recording in progress.
Well, that's good. Recording is in progress. Anyway, I have a timed agenda.
Mr.
which has
McKenzie.
been given to me, and we're doing very well in our timing.
We have a committee member online who has, for City of Roanoke Park, Kevin Conway, who wanted to say something.
Well, welcome and speak your piece. We don't see your face on the screen, but maybe your voice will come over.
He's muted.
Somebody muted?
It could be me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what the technical difficulty has been. I've been at this meeting since it started, and I just was never able to be recognized as being a committee member online. But I do represent Santa Rosa, not Roanoke Park, just to make that distinction. And I don't have anything significant to report regarding Santa Rosa, other than I do know there's a lot going on around gas station land use, issues. But yes, I am here, I am online, and I'd like to be noted as attending this meeting if that's still possible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Sorry, there's been a technical difficulty. Excuse me.
That's no problem.
That brings us up to agenda item number 5, SCTCA Annual Report. This is an informational item that Ross is going to present to us on the draft of the new combined annual report.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. And actually, before I begin, just on the tail end, addressing Pete's comment or question about the collaboration between the other committees, in this case, CAAC. Yeah, we are. That is something that we're waiting for board feedback on. We brought the item to both committees. As I think I inferred, it's what's probably going to happen is an ad hoc of the board will be formed. And hopefully there'll be some opportunity for advisors from both CAC and CAAC, as I kind of was soliciting for the last time to provide input. So we are waiting on the board to take that, but hoping for at least a few opportunities to collaborate in the coming in this year. So just wanted to jump back on that. And then the main item, I just wanted to give an update on the combined annual report. We'd just like to provide a teaser of the new combined annual report. The proposed text version went out to the CAC and is available. Happy to provide that if anyone's interested. But we're very close to having a final version. Next slide, please. And just some background on what we're trying to do this year. Basically, we're combining the former SCTA RCPA annual report with with what was the Measure M and is now the Go Sonoma annual report. We want this to be condensed, somewhat simplified, but still keeping the detail and kind of what's required by the tax measure, and mainly just to have it be a useful public document. So you see some shots of the previous versions. Next slide, please. So we're working with a local graphic designer that we've worked with before, and we've created a new format that combines the transportation, climate, and tax measure elements. Planning to present that at the February board meeting, but we'll be happy to share it before that to the committee when it's available. Next slide, please. And so this is kind of the climate related content. This is a list of what's the things covered that may be of interest in to this committee in the report. You know, some related to climate funding, buildings, some to transportation. You know, it really is an overview, but I think it's a good snapshot of the work we do related to the climate impacts. You know, some of these things are ongoing projects. Some of them are just things that happened in 2005. But it you know gets pretty in depth, and I think it's good to look at now that the organization has come together. Kind of look at it all holistically, just because the goals are, you know, as we always say, really the same now. And let's see, next slide, please. And so this is a teaser, so it's a little bit frustrating that I don't have the actual draft to share yet. I will be getting it on Tuesday, I've just been told, at least the next draft. So we'll be sharing the final version with the board in February, but I'm happy to provide it to the committee in advance of that as soon as it is ready. We will be creating a bilingual version. And we will be creating limited print copies. If you'd like a print one, that will be available. And we'll, of course, be promoting it using our channels. But we really hope that this, you know, is a good snapshot, both for, you know, showing folks, you know, who you're working with as part of the committee. And, you know, if anyone's interested in the work we do, it's a good way to show it. But it is definitely going to be not just a promotional document like the old annual report was. It does get into depth in terms of the tax measure numbers in terms of Go Sonoma. But that is my little teaser. I hope it was enticing. Please let me know if you have any questions. As I mentioned before, if you do want to see just the text version that we shared with CAC, I'm happy to pass that along to you. It is all text, but reach out directly and I'm happy to provide that.
Okay, I think, first of all, whenever you can share text and information with members of the committee, sooner the better. That would be grand. Any questions, comments from committee members? I'm looking around the room. Andy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How many people will receive this document? And how many people does SCTCA cover?
Well, in terms of who actually ends up receiving it, I mean, it is available to all. So what we normally do is, you know, it'll be in the board packet. It will also go out in our email, which is 3,000 plus, and then it will be, you know, available physically. Here, I believe we do give a few copies to the county to have on hand as well. It really depends on interest. Really depends on the leverage and how many people want to get in depth into what we're doing.
Yeah, it's always so frustrating that we put a lot of resources into creating these documents and they don't really get out there to the general public.
Well, I hear you, and I often share that frustration. However, Locally, we're certainly going to push it. It is, a requirement of the Measure M and now Go Sonoma tax measure to have that document available. And I'm hoping that it gets a little, combining it all will give it some more legs and get it out there a little bit further, as it is a true snapshot and not a parted out version of what we do.
If I might bring it up, it might be an opportunity for the leadership to have a meeting with the Press Democrat editorial group and see if possibly we could get some highlighting and through the editorial section. And then
absolutely, I do push it out to media separately as well myself.
And I do see that we've been joined by our executive director, general manager, whatever you call yourself these days, James. If you'd just like to say hi to everybody. Anyway, good to have you here with us. And it's always interesting to see what stories are covered in our newspaper of record. And it seems to me that this coming together of both groups is something worthy of attention and possibly might even result in also a news article that would parallel, hopefully, a editorial comment and progress that's been made, and particularly in the climate in which we exist politically and nationally. Anyway, that's the chair's comment. Please, Nick.
Ross, when you send this this draft out to us, are you going to be expecting feedback from us, or is this just reading for pleasure?
Hopefully it's pleasurable. But it is informational. I think the requirements are, the CAC provided kind of the required tax measure feedback. Certainly we're happy to take any feedback, whether it gets applied to this year or not, we'll see. But you're always welcome to provide feedback on it.
So with that said, is this body going to have any chance to formally provide feedback on this report?
Not officially. I think, timing wise, this is going to be informational.
Okay.
Okay, do you know?
Yeah, it's this information available on a PowerPoint. So if I want to go to my city council or my committee in the Sebastopol and I want to present this material, it shouldn't be too hard to have AI extract a PowerPoint from this. Is this something you guys can support in some way?
Well, we'll be creating a PowerPoint when it's presented to the board. So there will be one available in February that we can either come present ourselves or happy to share materials as well with you, Zeno.
And it's something that potentially each of us in our jurisdictions could take advantage of as well, just to make sure that our contact, our representative on SCTCA, I believe in Rohnert Park, is Gerard Giudice. Anyway, any way that we can publicize the work that's been done, good thing to do. Sorry. Steve.
Real quick, I was wondering if there's any collaboration with Sonoma County Library System. I know within the library in Rohnert Park, there's a section that has like all the ordinances or something, if that's something that where a printed copy of the report could be available for public.
We do provide it to the libraries. Yes, that is something we've done every year.
And since Steve brought that up, you should be aware that there's been presentations and continue to be at the Rohnert Park Library of the work that KRCB has been doing on programs involving climate change. And I think these have been announced on Facebook, but I think it would be good if this committee were made aware of the work that Sonoma County Library is doing cooperatively with KRCB. I have a personal interest. My wife's a library commissioner for Rohnert Park, so I tend to be well informed in these matters. Okay, is that everything on this item? I believe it is. So that moves us on. We're 5 minutes ahead of schedule here. Bayran update information. And Anna, I believe you are up.
Alrighty, well, Happy New Year, everybody. A lot of familiar faces, but just in case, again, I'm Anna Oliva, and I serve as the Bay Area Regional Energy Network, or BayREN Program Specialist. Part of my role entails working directly with local government representatives from each of your jurisdictions and working with members of your districts as well. A lot of exciting things happening in the BayREN world. But one thing I would love to bring to your attention is we do have our upcoming North Bay Contractors Forum and Training on January 30th. This will be hosted at the Petaluma Vets Hall starting at 7 a.m. and will provide an opportunity for installers, sales reps, people who are generally interested in learning a little bit more about what's going on in the contractor space for heat pump water heaters, to receive some hands-on presentations from A.O. Smith and Eco2 Systems as well. We'll cover some single-family, multifamily appliances, and what I think is really valuable is learning a little bit on how to pitch heat pump water heaters to homeowners, which is a little bit of feedback that we've heard from contractors as a bit of a pinch point. So I think that'll be really valuable as well. We'll also have several vendors that'll be tabling there, and just a good opportunity for peers to get together and share their experiences, as well as provide direct feedback to program representatives and back to our BayREN representatives as well. This training is available to anyone. It is free. I do want to note that it is part of a larger training series that will be going on throughout the year and throughout the Bay Area. So this is just our North Bay region one. If you are a contractor not able to attend this specific training, we'll have some other ones in the East Bay, South Bay, and a handful of other places, as long as you're willing to travel. But I do have a flyer here. We have our Eventbrite link, and then we've been coordinating with some of our organizational partners to help promote the program, including the jurisdictions, organizations like the North Coast Builders Exchange, supply houses as well. So you're more than welcome to attend. We would very much appreciate your support in promoting the event as well. And if you have any questions about that, you are welcome to ask me or any of our other representatives.
So can you be sure that that gets out to us electronically?
Yes.
What other trainings are coming up? What else is on the agenda ahead, schedule ahead,
For contractors specifically?
or whatever you guys might be doing?
Whatever we may be doing, that's a good question. Once we have our multifamily program, our Bay Area Multifamily Building Enhancement Program, or BAMBI, reopening in February, we'll likely have some training specifically for property owners and contractors that work in the multifamily space to learn a little more about rebates and incentives that are available. I think having a dialogue between multifamily property owners and contractors is also something that we're hoping to foster through the program. So that'll be another thing to keep your eye out for, and I'll definitely keep you informed when that comes along.
Thank you. I just saw something about Sebastopol opening it up for ADUs to be sold. Is that something that's going to be like a wildfire across the state?
Could you clarify?
Yeah,
Yeah, there was an article in the Press Democrat.
about ADUs. I think we were against that at one point, right? For them to be for sale, because we thought people would start building in their backyards and having these little mini subdivisions in their backyards.
So what happened, as I understand it, is within the last few years, California passed a law allowing people to lease out ADUs as condos, but it requires the opt-in of local jurisdictions. And Sebastopol, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, became the first city in the North Bay, Sonoma, to opt in to that. So in Sebastopol, people can now lease out ADUs as condos.
Yeah, and I think they can actually be, so that the way it's being described is that, say if a person wants to buy a home and they can't buy a house, they could buy an ADU. And that would get them in the ability to start creating equity. And if a person has a home with an ADU and they don't want to have to do the property taxes for the whole thing, they can then send that portion and get that equity that might help them stay in their home. So the idea is actually with the ADUs to be infill, like within Sebastopol, you're talking about an area that's all the city of Sebastopol. It's not like out in the county where you might have more issues about ADUs. So it's about having increased infill, more financing for it, more financing options for home ownership. There may be other drawbacks, but that's how that's being promoted. And so that's kind of it. Now, some people got different tax incentives to create ADUs that were to make them permanent residencies and not Airbnbs. So I think that that's the contrast. You wouldn't want one bought and then just be an Airbnb. You'd want to maintain the regulations of it being permanent housing. So I think that that's kind of it. And I do think
Tanya?
Petaluma and other places are looking at it.
Has there been any action or policy statements or involvement of our group with the question of ADU?
Not with the CAAC. I know it is a topic that's been discussed in our planning advisory committee and something that the planning side of our house does pay attention to because of the need for more affordable housing in the county, the connection between, land use and transportation and GHG emissions. So definitely an area of interest, but not something that this committee has ever addressed that I know of.
But thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Anything else, Tyler?
Thank you, Chair. I'm really curious. One of the lessons you talked about was how to pitch the heat pump water heaters. Is there anything like briefly you can share about sort of the message or strategy you've landed on?
Yeah, I think in the past, we've heard some negative feedback from contractors just because of the complexity in participating in rebate and incentive programs. And unfortunately, a bit of the negative attitude around that had been passed on through conversations with homeowners. So really trying to, again, be receptive of the feedback of contractors when it comes to difficulties like that. And then I think just for homeowners, not opting for the like-for-like replacement. It is hopefully becoming a more familiar equipment type. But I think it's just a continued education part about that as well. And also price and making sure that the appliance is the right fit for the home given the specific needs of the site. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Zeno?
Yeah, I had two questions. One is there any coordination between electricians and these contractors to make sure the house is panel ready for installing like the heat pump? The other, what are you doing to contact the contractor? Are you, after having followed this training, do they get a certificate or some kind of recognizable thing they can put on the website, or NG List may start using that as a piece of information?
Yeah, that's a great point. Just responding to your last comment that you raised. So this specific training does not provide any kind of certification for the contractor. You can receive credit towards a credential for the tech program. But that is a good comment to raise. And then to your other comment for how we're communicating with electricians and plumbers specifically for panel upgrades, is that really what your concern was? That's a great question, and we get that a lot. And I think that's another ongoing challenge that we're trying to overcome through education. We have heard some feedback just around the additional time that's required to do panel optimization, as opposed to just telling the customer that you'll need to upgrade your panel. And so I think that's another area that we're hoping to explore through this contractor training series. But yes, definitely something that we commonly hear about.
We have an online question from Kevin Conway.
Yes, thank you. I'm wondering whether or not the representative from Bayren can briefly discuss initiatives, incentives rather, and rebates. I know you referred to that as a complex issue, but I do know people right now that are trying to put in HVAC systems and heat pump water heaters. And I'm just wondering, what is the status on rebates? If you could just simply, give a brief description of what the status is and why it's so complex.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that the incentive and rebate landscape has definitely been changing, especially in this last year. I will say for current local rebates and incentives that are available, we always like to direct people to Sonoma Clean Power. We do have some additional rebates that are available through our multifamily program, and some additional incentives available if the property owner is pursuing electrification specifically. But I would have to go back and I can follow up with some additional updates on the available rebates. It seems it's changing day to day. So
Okay.
I will say for that specifically, a wonderful resource that's available to get the most up-to-date information on rebates and incentives, current programs that are available and stacking are the consultation services that are available from the County of Sonoma Energy and Sustainability team. You can be a homeowner, a business owner, just interested in figuring out where to start for your project, and they're very knowledgeable and can help you get on the right path for that and get a better understanding of what current incentives and rebates are available and a good fit for your specific need. So
how do you get in touch with these excellent people?
These excellent people, that's a great question. I do have a flyer that's right at the top of our stairs. They do have an email that I can pull up for us all and provide in the follow-up materials
if you
as
could
well.
let everybody get this information. I think that was a good question that was brought up, and it's good to know that that's available to all. Okay. Any other questions on Bayren? Any other statement?
I think just one other update. We're always more than happy to partner, provide any presentations, updates, jurisdiction-specific data for y'all. So if you're involved in CACs, other organizations, we love to partner, have a conversation, and would be more than happy to present. So you can reach out to me directly to follow up on that.
June?
Yeah, I just wanted to note that there's also the website, The Switch Is On, that has a good listing as a good place to start, although sometimes it may list rebates that are close to being fully subscribed. And so it's probably better to actually go and have that meeting with the county reps if someone's serious to actually start pursuing a rebate. I was wondering, is there any update on the Bayren program? Is it the EASE program? Yeah, I didn't know how close that was to being subscribed or how much that's still available.
Yes, that's a great question. I didn't want to beat a dead horse. I feel like I talk about this program often, but more than happy to provide an update. So a little background, Ease Home is our single family program that launched in the end of July. And we have seen excellent participation throughout the county for this program. As you would expect, a lot of the participation has come from Santa Rosa just because of the balance in population there. But currently, we've had about 120 site visits for that program. And so what that entails is the program energy advisor coming to the home to do a brief inspection, walkthrough, and really have a conversation with the homeowner about what a good project scope would be. And again, Ease Home does focus on weatherization upgrades. And so think of attic insulation, duct insulation for that. So really building out the building envelope for that. And again, focused on energy efficiency as opposed to just providing electrification, which is always a clear distinction I want to draw for that. But yeah, we are currently in our big marketing push right now for Ease Home through the end of the month. And what that means is we just have additional site visit windows that are available for this month. That doesn't mean that when February closes, there won't be any sites available. So yeah, it's been a good program, and we've been reaching out to the jurisdictions and some additional partners like Cool Petaluma to help promote that program as well. If you have any specific questions, I'm more than happy to go into a deep dive, but I don't want to take up too much more of our time.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else? If not, we're now going to go to agenda item number 7, where SCTA staff is going to give us an update on other climate-related activities, including ClearPath software.
All right.
Tanya?
Thank you. And I think BC, would you like to kick us off? So BC is going to give an update, I think, on ClearPath.
Talk about the mobilization strategy first, or should I talk about?
I am going to talk about it, but if you want to do.
Whatever you guys want to talk about, it's your agenda item.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is BC Capps, Climate Programs Manager here with SCTCA. Wanted to give an update on our work on around our greenhouse gas inventory and different software that we use for that. We had a good planning meeting earlier this week where we kind of came up with a game plan for the next few months. For a bit of a background, historically, we've been doing, the organization has conducted a community-wide greenhouse gas inventory approximately every 2 years since 2010, I believe, was when the effort started. And so we're due to do another update. Those historic updates so far have all been done using a set of specialized Excel-based spreadsheets that were developed for us previously, and we've continued moving that forward. Over that time, there's new software that's available that we're investigating that may allow us for additional features and functions. But what we determined that for this year, 2026, is that we are going to move forward on conducting kind of updating our existing Excel-based inventory, kind of using our existing protocols and methods. And so this is slightly different than I think what I reported 2 months ago. So we're going to kind of thinking about how do we kind of continue to use those fields or those calculations in the short term. So we'll be updating those with 2024 data. That data and that results would then be fed into our existing Power BI dashboard, which is currently online and has the data up through 2022. And then that set of information using that methodology will then be made available for use in an update on our climate mobilization strategy, which Tanya will be talking about in just a minute. So kind of the game plan is really to kind of use our existing tools, our existing methodology, and conduct that next inventory in Excel. In parallel to that, I have been investigating and have done some preliminary work on the potential to use software called ClearPath 2.0, which is available from ICLEI. And that software includes a number of additional features, but it has some its methodology and its calculation methods and protocol are just slightly different. And so the suggestion was to basically try to replicate our next inventory for 2024 data using the Excel methods that we know very well, and then to do the same thing in the ClearPath software so that we can basically have parallel data in 2 different software platforms. Basically, we can look at what are the differences, what if we do want to make a switch really we have an apples to oranges issue. This will allow us to basically put the apples and the oranges in the same basket and compare how are they different, and then to move forward, potentially move forward using ClearPath in the future. But we'll have that kind of direct overlap. And so a couple of the just details about that. That software, that ClearPath software, not only does an inventory, but will also allow us then to develop kind of a business forecasting, a future forecast, looking forward to milestone years in the future, looking forward to 2030, 2040, 2050. And then there are additional modules which we'll be investigating that are integrated in that, which would allow us to document and basically be able to link the emissions data with what they call a reductions pathway. We'd be working with looking at the local climate action plans that are developed by the local jurisdictions, determining kind of what are the cornerstone or priority actions, and then bringing those into ClearPath to basically try to set, basically looking at then does an inventory, does a forecast, and then based upon those recommended actions that we say we're going to do, it then forecasts what would be the reduction potential looking forward in the future. So that's something that's not possibly currently able to do within our Excel files, but we can do within ClearPath. So we're kind of investigating that kind of move, kind of that transition. And then the last piece I wanted to mention, and this is where it kind of ties in with these, it's slightly separate, but I think it's worth mentioning, is that I've also been in discussion with jurisdictional staff from the city of Petaluma and a couple other jurisdictions about how to present more detailed information on some of those cornerstone or priority actions above and beyond what ClearPath might offer. And this has come, and so I'm currently working with City of Petaluma staff, looking at ways that we could basically take the actions that they've identified in Petaluma for priority action, and then basically build some sort of an online dashboard that would allow for kind of some online status updates, and would be available both for reporting back out to local elected officials, could be made available online, reporting out back out to the public, and would, I think, then kind of be a nice complement to the work that we do looking at the whole countywide, but would then allow us to really ratchet that down or kind of filter that down so that it was really jurisdictional specific. So how all those pieces fit together, or how that piece fits together, I'm not actually fully sure right now. We're investigating a couple of different pieces of software to do that last piece, looking at software called Smartsheet, could potentially use Microsoft SharePoint. There's also a lot of work being done by our data analyst on GIS ArcView Online. And so we're kind of investigating those those options for the future. But I think the key take home kind of for the meeting today and the updated day is really we're going to be progressing in short order on our Excel-based inventory, and then in parallel looking at ClearPath so that we can really make sure and confirm that it is the right move to kind of move towards, but wanting to make sure we had that overlap to kind of make sure that we're kind of taking it in a deliberative process. So I don't know if there's any other details or. So I think
Any
that's.
questions from committee members?
I don't know.
Then
I don't know. We'd have to go first, but I will. How does all this work intersect with the school districts? Petaluma City Schools is now working on its climate action plan implementation plan, and I'm on the working group for that. So I'd love to figure out ways that school districts can engage and benefit and model, and then share with other school districts.
That is a fascinating question. I don't have an answer. I know that that is something, obviously, our governing body is made up really from a jurisdictional specific view of thinking about the city as our kind of our member, but both on the climate side and on the transportation side, we're doing a lot more work that is school district based. And so I actually, I don't know how it fits, but I think it's a critical question that we do need to answer and figure out within all of this, how it's either directly integrated or how there's a parallel path. So. Great.
David?
We shall engage.
BC, could you speak a little bit to the extent that ClearPath represents a standard tool used by municipalities in these kinds of projects?
Sure. So our existing methodology within Excel is based upon a protocol that was developed by ICLEI for a community. It's the US Community Protocol. ClearPath 2.0, the software that they're currently using and that I've been talking about, is still based on an ICLEI protocol. It's based upon the global protocol, community protocol. Very similar, but there's some subtle differences. But in that case, both methodologies we're looking at are based upon these established protocols. And now with ClearPath 2.0, that is software being made available for use with a ICLEI membership, region or a jurisdictional or regional membership, which we believe, and talking with other jurisdictions, is probably one of the most cost-effective ways to bring jurisdictions on board with a full set of kind of software tools. And so at this point, I do know that there's one jurisdiction, the town of Windsor, who is currently an ICLEI member and is also investigating the software. And my understanding was that the county of Sonoma itself was actually also investigating becoming an ICLEI member. I don't know if they've taken action on that, but I think that there are some synergies with getting multiple jurisdictions to use the software. One benefit that we have, the membership that we've signed up for with ICLEI is considered a regional membership, so that we can't actually extend the full membership benefits to all of the jurisdictions, but we can create these greenhouse gas tracking boards for the jurisdictions to bring into a fully countywide integrated view, even if they're not ICLEI members directly. But there are a number of other organizations, a number of other city, county, and state, or I should say city and counties throughout the US that are also adopting this, and I think are setting the examples that I'm looking for with what can be done. So
I think you made my point for me. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Which is that there seems to be a great opportunity here for adopting ClearPath 2.0 and being able to then compare not just the county to the municipalities, but across the country and maybe the globe. I don't know, which would seem to be a big benefit of going in that direction.
Very good.
I just wanted to make a comment. Within the world of green building, over the last few decades, there's been this evolving interest in energy embodied in materials and life cycle assessment of the materials that we are putting into our building projects. The analog, the counterpart in municipal climate action work would be consumption-based emissions. And I understand that evaluating emissions on a municipal scale from a consumption perspective and an activity-based perspective, they're completely different starting points, and they're hard to overlap. But I would just suggest that in all the reporting and all the discussions, we at least mention this idea of the energy that is embodied in everything that we consume. Because if it's not specifically mentioned, people are often just unaware.
Yep.
Thank you, Pete. Yeah, that reminds me, the GREET software is really good for embodied energy. So GREET, GREET, they just came out with a new platform. That's Cradle to Grave. And that's a good program too.
Nick?
Just want to mention BC. I would be very interested to work with SCTCA on how to do greenhouse gas inventories for unincorporated areas. I know that's a massive challenge, but it's massively important as well.
Good, thank you.
And I'll just add really quick. So the unincorporated lands are included in our inventory.
Yeah.
What we aren't able to do at this point, and I can give some thought and investigation to, would be to attempt to break those out in some ways by at least each of the 5 supervisory districts.
Yeah.
so that we could break those out, but I wanted to clarify or just make sure, like,
Yeah.
those are, the countywide emissions are included. It's just a matter of the nuance or the granularity we can
Yeah,
report
yeah,
on.
for sure.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, BC, for
Thank you.
that. Let's see, anything else to update us on?
This is, no, that is for me, and I'll pass it to Tanya now. Thank you.
Thank you, BC.
Right. No, I'm standing between you and the end of the meeting, so I will, but I do have a couple things I'd like to share.
You're still within the timed agenda,
Yes,
so
I'm
you're good.
watching the clock. So following on to BC's excellent update on the data side of the house and the inventory, he mentioned the Sonoma Climate Mobilization Strategy. And so what I'll share now is kind of a preview of work that we're planning to do in 2026, at least begin the work in 2026. And we'll be bringing this to our board in February as part of a work plan update. So every year, staff brings to our board a proposal in terms of our work plan for the year for both the climate and the transportation sides of the house. And so that's what we'll be bringing to them in February. And a key piece of that will be a proposal to update our Sonoma Climate Mobilization Strategy. You may recall that it was updated by or adopted by our board in March of 2021. And we are now heading into, we're in 2026. And so the document is old. And it is time to at least do a refresh. So we have been working on a project charter for the mobilization strategy update, and we'll be bringing more information to all of you in March. I'm really looking forward to getting your thoughts on how we can make this process the most valuable. Certainly our intention is not to produce another document that sits on a shelf or doesn't really help move the climate work forward. So we're thinking about kind of the scope of the effort. How do we produce something that really will be valuable, both to local government staff as well as the community, and certainly would see this group as a key partner in that effort, around community outreach. How might we use this update process to do more education, communication, because I know that's been a key interest of the group. So just a kind of a teaser that we'll be bringing back a more detailed proposal and scope for this update for your review and input in March, which I think would be your next meeting. So stay tuned for more on that. And of course, the updated inventory will be a key piece of that. We have talked internally, kind of Pete echoing some of your observations around, we're in a very challenging time now. It feels like it's very hard to make progress. And do we really want to produce another inventory that may not give us any new information? But I would argue that even a data point that says we've either not made progress or we're going in the wrong direction is an important data point to share with our policymakers in the community. So we do see that as an important piece of the update. So that's the mobilization strategy. Two other quick updates. One of the areas that we've really been focused on over the last I'd say year and really heading into the new year is how we can bring in more funding for climate work as well as transportation work in the county. And so we've been closely tracking Prop 4, the climate bond, and really trying to figure out how can we best work with all of our local jurisdictions to get ready for those grant programs that will be distributing the climate bond funding as they start to roll out. And so earlier this week, we held the second of an ongoing series of meetings that we're planning with local government staff that we're calling our climate grant planning and coordination meetings. And we're using these as an opportunity to start working together across the different jurisdictions to identify what types of projects and programs might be eligible for these grant programs that are coming out. And an example of that would be the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation. We'll have some climate bond funding to distribute through its Extreme Heat and Community Resilience Program. We're expecting a NOFO to come out from that program sometime this spring. And so we're starting to think about what kinds of projects might be good candidates for that. And are there projects that could be put together that would involve multiple jurisdictions or even the whole county. So I don't have a specific project to share with you at this point, but just to let you know that we are really looking at that and trying to figure out how can we best organize ourselves to be as competitive as possible in these programs, because as you can imagine, everybody else in the state will be looking to this funding as well. So that's an area that we're very focused on. And I'm pleased to share that we have some additional staff capacity to help us with these efforts. Just wanted to highlight Chris Cohn, She's stepping into a new role as to work on climate, not just climate, but overall grant coordination service for SCTCA. Really looking at how can we create a better inventory or tracking mechanism for these grant sources of grant funding, make sure that everybody knows about them. How do we identify which of these are good opportunities to go after, et cetera? So you'll be hearing more from Chris in the future. And in fact, Chris, is there anything that you'd like to say to the group at this point, or plan an update for the next meeting?
Well, one thing.
Could you, Chris, would you mind using the mic so folks can?
Yeah, sorry. One of the benefits of this effort is to be able to learn about funding ahead of time to create a long lead time that will give all the stakeholders in the county more time to consider partnering on grant applications and getting applications in early in order to get feedback from the grantors. So a key outcome of this is to have a really effective system in place to help everybody.
Before you leave, and welcome, by the way, to the committee activities, is it clear which agencies will be responsible for distributing which parts of Proposition 4?
That's a great question, and I don't have an answer to that.
And that's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
I've been involved with I'm on the Regional Water Quality Control Board, and so there's an interest from various directions as to how this money will be awarded. And you just mentioned there'll be fierce competition in the current fiscal climate for these.
Yeah, so we don't have a lot of details yet, but there is a chart which you may have seen, Jake, that outlines the different state agencies and chapters in the climate bond and how much money has been appropriated to those different programs. So you can kind of start to get a sense of, and I may not get the number right here, but for example, in the extreme heat program that I mentioned, I want to say there's 20 million. I'm not going to get the number right, but there's a chart that shows how much of that funding. Now, obviously not details about what those programs look like, but you can get a sense of.
I'd be interested in the committee getting this information.
Yeah, we can definitely.
Because it's very critical when these monies get awarded. And it's good to have somebody who now has the responsibility for chasing them down, Chris. So welcome.
Yeah, we're very excited to have Chris.
And good luck.
Focus. Thank you. So just one last quick update, which actually Chris is going to be involved in as well, but I'll try and keep this short. You may recall that we've been working with the County of Sonoma and Latino service providers to develop a countywide equitable EV charging plan. That effort is still underway. It's on track. So we expect the plan to be released May or June is when the final report will be presented to the Board of Supervisors. And Chris will be as part of, she's got kind of two parts to her role. She'll be working on the grant piece of the work. And then she's also going to be taking on responsibility related to electric mobility. And so she'll be looking at how can we implement this EV charging plan and what sources of funding might we find for that. So just to let you know, that's still underway and results will be coming out soon. So that's the end of my update.
Oh, and good luck again, Chris. Anyway, so we're updated in these matters.
Yeah, I'm happy to take any questions. I know we're almost out of time, but if there's questions, happy to.
I'm about to move on to announcements. So unless there are any questions, then we'll move on to the final agenda item.
Mr.
8,
McKenzie, we do have an online.
Oh, Kevin?
Yes, thank you. I was just wondering, Tanya, I know that the SCTCA is a member of ICLEI. I'm just wondering if you think there's any advantage to the city of Santa Rosa being a member.
I'm sorry, Kevin, a member of USDN or ICLEI?
No, ICLEI, Local Governments for Sustainability.
No, I would definitely say there's benefits to local governments of participating either in ICLEI and or USDN.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay. We had announcements earlier on, but are there announcements that the committee members would like to repeat and make sure that it's on everybody's minds? I had mentioned February 5th, Rohnert Park City Council and Planning Commission reviewing the draft general plan and the climate element. So that's my announcement. David? Next. Good.
Coast again.
Okay, well, if there are no announcements, then I am happy to announce the adjournment of this meeting at 12:54. Yay!
Well done.
And you now know the advantage, those of you who get to chair committee meetings, of having a time